Gaming and BS, episode 307, coming to you Monday, August 24th, 2020. Welcome to Gaming and BS, a tabletop RPG podcast. I'm Sean.
I'm Brett. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, folks. Glad everybody's here. Sean, how the hell are you, man?
I'm okay, Brett. How are you, man? How is the ailment?
I have a appointment on the 9th. It was the soonest I could get in. Go see a spine doctor.
I see.
See what the deal is. So,
well, I hope everything turns out all right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I've talked to other people who've had pinched nerves, neck issues and stuff, and just as a quick aside to Brett's health, sometimes like, wow, yeah, it's kind of annoying. Every once in a while, boy, it really hurts. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I think I might be in one of those, it was super inflamed and annoying, which is where I was in literally crying pain. And now it's like a dull, achy, annoying. Still needs treatment, needs fixing. But at least I was able to go walk in the woods with my son this last weekend and do something.
Yeah.
My arm is still going numb periodically like it is now, which is annoying as hell. But did you get any gaming in this last weekend?
I did.
Last week?
I did some gaming in. Bear with me for just a second. Why?
Well, I can tell you what we did. On my side, the kids, we did more Middle-earth role-playing, a little more MERP action. They went to Weathertop, Amon Sul, the old abandoned watchtower, and found out there's some orcs there. They're trying to figure out what that's all about. They saw these orcs with the same standard, a seeming iron crown with a gem set in the center of it, some sort of a standard that they have. They think that's coming out of the troll shaws, so they're thinking about packing up and heading further east to see what malevolence is coming out of there. So, my kids don't listen to this, so spoilers. There's an evil human wizard who was a acolyte / follower wannabe of Angmar, the Witch King. So now he's taking an opportunity to, he's taking over a small little castle keep thing, and he's trying to raise up a little army, do a little start of the Fourth Age nefariousness. So that's what the kids are going to get to stop, hopefully.
Yeah.
Ilana almost died. Again. She has really bad luck. She either chooses to run away from combat too late or too early, or she's had a bad spot of luck. But critical hit charts have not been too kind to her. Lost an eye this last time, but she's doing well. Other than that, the Avalon game I had last Tuesday went pretty well. It was kind of a bit of a downtime, catch up on what happened because the two vampires were taken care of, and there's some issue where the Temple Poseidon is not too happy with the Bargemen because they just have a religious back and forth thing going on. And the characters have been digging more into Bargemen lore and mythology, which is where I planted the Penangalon. So now some horrible, nasty fish frog men weirdness has arrived, attacked a Bargeman boat, and they're dealing with all that stuff now. So neighborhood's still not safe. That's just how it goes. So that's always fun. How's about you? What'd you do?
I played in Hobbs's Lyncium game.
Okay.
And that was fun.
Good.
Yeah. And then my buddy Jeff's game.
Was that you gonna run Mothership for them?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And on the last episode, I had talked about running Kingdom for the group, and I pitched it to them.
Do that to set the Mothership stage so they would be able to say, hey, we helped build this world, why it is what it is, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And I brought it up a while ago, more in passing, like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I don't know if I actually even said Kingdom. I just said, hey, I think we could do this exercise of building the setting. Kind of already interested. It was, I think it was just kind of out there. Fast forward Friday night, I am kind of going through and making some handouts that aren't in digital format and on Google Docs and say, sharing some things and taking stuff from Ben Robbins' website, putting that in Google Docs so everything is in a single place. And then we start on Saturday. And I said, well, okay, so here's the deal. It's Kingdom, and this is why I'm thinking of wanting to do that. I can certainly just kick off the game and roll with it.
So if they don't want to do that, if they go, audible, just go, let's just dive in. You're ready to roll. You don't need that if you don't have to. Okay, gotcha.
There was some mild interest. There was one person who's like, yeah, sure. I think Jeff was kind of on the fence. I don't think he could go either way, or could go either way. And then it was, well, it seems really, it's like very regiment, right? It's very like defined and how you do it. Like, why couldn't we just, maybe just go with making things? It doesn't have, why does it have to be so formal? Okay.
Right. Kind of spitball stuff as a crew, write shit down. Got it. All right.
Fine. That's also a good way. Not a problem. Session 0. Right. Yeah. No, that sounds like a fantastic plan, right? And then we get into it and they want a ship. There's a ship. Are they on the ship? Are they part of a big ship? So they're part of a colony ship. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, big colony ship, big ship, deep space. Okay. And then it's, hey, we're going to be on a research vessel. Okay. Be on a research vessel. Do we want an actual research vessel? Because there's an actual class in Mothership called research vessel. And when you could build your own ship. Hey, let's build our own ship. You can go through the shipbuilding rules. Great, no problem. And then it got into, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. I didn't. And then how is this ship attached to the colony ship or? Okay, but it doesn't have jump drive. We don't want a jump drive. Okay, so it's local, but it's attached to the colony ship. Okay, no problem. We'll have you guys be sent out from the colony ship, right? Go investigate that over there, right? Then it was like
research, away team. Got it.
On a away team, but then people were like, well, so does this land planet side or is it orbital? And then does it? Wait a minute, And then Jason was like, wait a minute. I thought we would just have a shuttle. We just get in a shuttle and then just go down to the planet, like an away team does, right? You're like, yep. Well, I don't know. Maybe I guess you. Is that what you guys want to do, or you don't want to do? Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What's the name of your ship? Oh, which I don't know. Maybe this, maybe that. I'm not sure. What's the name of the colony ship? During the discussion, I had mentioned like, hey, there are. I even mentioned before we got into that there are folks that don't. They prefer not to contribute like that in that fashion, right? They want the game master to lay it all out there.
Yeah, some people don't, and we've got another topic coming up on this. Some people are not spontaneously creative or they feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Some of those folks, if you said, hey, you've got 2 weeks, come up with blah, 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 they'd have a beautiful thing for you, but some folks don't like to do that. Make sense?
So the things kind of like, there's some questions. And so it becomes like at some point I just kind of go, you know what? I'm going to get something to drink. You guys figure it out. When I come back, we'll go with what you guys come up with.
Nice.
So I couldn't help when getting on the mics. I'm like, Brett's going to ask me how the game went. And
of course.
It went okay. It started out clunky as hell, kind of session 0 within a few hours and wanting to get them into something. So another thing that also takes kind of, does things. So Dead Planet, there's a Pound of Flesh. Some of you might be familiar with both. Pound of Flesh, for an example, is a space station that holds like 8 million people. It's big.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah, you've mentioned that to me before, yeah.
Well, if you're on a colony ship and you're going out into deep space that hasn't been settled because you're going to go and expand, right? It's like a one-way trip.
Yeah, not going to have a space station.
Probably not.
Or you do, and no one knew it was there.
Right.
Why is this here?
Sure.
Woo! Mystery.
8 million people, though. How that could that? Well, so say la vie, right? You could.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's reasons, all sorts of ideas. Oh yes, yes.
Dead Planet, kind of a similar situation where there's, derelict ships that are in the sector.
So you make it sound like they kind of did this against their will. Did they enjoy it?
So they did, and I think once they got onto the Alexis, which is the ship I have them go and investigate, then I think things started kind of going, okay, this is kind of cool, creepy, and not, shit starts to hit the fan. And so it's, I think, going in the right direction. I have Marines that are they kind of run away from the danger instead of running towards the danger, which is fine. I think there is still this kind of, there's a preconceived notion that I'm gathering, and this is just me, right? It's how I'm looking at it from the chair I'm in, that it's a campaign. It's going to be long running. I don't want my character to die. And I'm like, hey man, I'm not going to run this thing I told him, I'm not going to run this thing for 2 years. I mean, this thing's like a couple sessions and then we're kind of done. Right? If we want to come back.
We'll do something else. We'll do something else, or I'll play a different version. Yeah, this is a short stint. So they've got the character protection thing. They're turtling a little bit, like, oh, I want to make sure I
want to get the hell
end.
out of here, man. Like, okay. I mean, certainly self-perseverance is preservation, sorry. And perseverance comes into play.
Persevering towards self-preservation. Right. Yeah. Which can also be boring as hell fuck sometimes.
Hooked on phonics.
Like, guys, fight the monster. Come on, do something.
So I just sit back and I go, okay, you guys didn't want to create any of this, but then you didn't know how to come up with a lot of this stuff on your own and come to a consensus where Kingdom system is part of the system and mechanizes that. Right? Let's go.
Oh yeah, you've got to paint by numbers. That's a crass statement, but you have a very step-by-step mechanism to start from A, get to Z. Everything in between will be filled out.
So
got it. Okay.
Why would you want to use Kingdom? It seems so restrictive or so formal. Well,
so structured. Well, because
then you don't get to do that. This person gets to do that, and that person gets to do this. Oh, you don't? Yeah. You don't want it that way? Oh, okay. Then then you want to change your role within this scope or whatever.
Helps build consensus, build the world faster.
It's so, and I said, hey, you play characters in Kingdom, but I'm thinking that the characters would really become NPCs and part of the overall world. And, I think I could have got it if I pushed the thing, but I don't think anybody wanted to sit down and go through the whole exercise. They just wanted to play Mothership. Fine, no problem. That's not a big deal. So that was my experience with Mothership and Kingdom. Kingdom got shit canned pretty quick, and now things are in the midst, but I'm having to adapt because, they're out in the middle of nowhere, which is fine. I mean, it's space. So there shouldn't be any difference from you're in the middle of nowhere, deep space, and the middle of nowhere. I was even talking about, like, are you in the Alpha Quadrant? Are you in the Delta Quadrant? Are you in the Milky Way? Are you in the Andromeda system? Can you get to the Andromeda system? Like, what does that look like as far as, do you want this like Star Trek-y, or do you want this to be like
aliens?
Well, they're like, we could do more hard sci-fi. Well, now it's like, well, I'm running scans. What do I come up on the scanner? Are there molecules? Because if there's no molecules, then, so Jason he's definitely smarter than I am. There's no question about it. He's a scientist, for Christ's sake, like real life scientist. So now I'm like, great. Now I have to contend with somebody going, hey,
So I've run into that myself, and whether you need my advice or not, I'm going to give it to you. What I usually do when things get weird, then somebody says, well, I happen to know how to weld. So you said this was fixed. Did the guy does it look like a goose shitting on a fence post or the nice beads?
Right.
I happen to know what that means.
Right.
Other people don't. Right. I know that because of my father teaching me a little bit. So one of the things you get to do is say, yeah, that's strange. The readings have nothing.
Right.
But it's still there.
Right.
And then he gets to be boggled and when the player looks at me in frustration, I say, yes, it is weird. Your character knows this shouldn't be, but there it is. What is your character going to do with this fact? I'm not going to tell you why.
Right.
Because you haven't figured it out yet. Oh, yeah, you're right, Brett. Oh, yeah, where I'm from.
Right.
So You've got wonderful opportunities to fuck with the scientist right now.
Right. Well, right. And that is not.
It has to be carbon based. Otherwise, really? Really it does, huh? Sure.
Yeah.
Watch this, pal.
Jason, Andy, Jeff and the gang, Vicky, Harold, and that's not a knock on Joe, my buddy Joe. That's not a knock on anybody. It's just is the difference that I have to.
It's an approach and it's a style, and you need to be able to
adapt.
And overcome that stuff.
Yep. So that's my game. That's my game. I don't know what I'm going to play next, but I'm gonna get Mothership. I mean, so
if they have a good time with that, man, they may like Call of Cthulhu campaign wise.
Well, we'll see.
You know what I'm saying? If they have fun with this type of horror or whatever, you could grab Delta Green and say, all right, Delta Green campaign. We're back.
So now they're like, we're getting the hell out of Dodge. So, hey, it could be this. Getting out of Dodge, getting your ship, you go back to the colony ship. Sounds good. What do you guys want to play next?
Oh, what? Oh.
What do you want to do?
Well, that's when the alien queen detaches from your pod and infests the ship. Yeah. Sorry.
Ixnay on the Hitsnay.
Yeah. All right.
But anyways, there you go. I don't know.
Cool.
But we talked about my campaign a while. We got lots of show to cover, so.
Yeah, we got plenty of other crap to talk about. Let's go announcement-wise. Virtual Gamehole Con, we've talked about that. GameholeCon.com, of course. Here with Save Villages, we talked about this a little more in depth last time, but on August 29th at 4 p.m. Central Time, Hobbs on his Twitch channel. We've got, Jason Hobbs, Kevin Madison, Steve Grodzicki, the actual guy who, made Low Fantasy Gaming, and Sean will be playing a low fantasy game that Hobbs will be running. So, if nothing else, show up just to watch Steve give Hobbs shit.
Right.
And tell him he's doing it wrong in front of a lot of people. I hope he does that just once, just for fun. But anyway, link in the show notes to that thing. It helps folks out, so it's a good little charity thing. You pumped up, man?
Yeah, I got to make a character. I'm I probably am one of the guys that hasn't made a character yet, so. First level, baby.
It's not going to be that hard to make a character. That's one of the nice things about that system.
Right.
Bam, bam, bam. It's just you're in, you're done, you move on. Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah. I don't know what I want to play. I don't know what they got. I asked, and I don't know if Hobbs posted it or not. I don't know what he's doing. They don't
want to double up on character types or something?
I'll make one of each and see what happens. What do you guys want me to play? I'll just pick one.
Yeah, bring a spare. That way when you die within the first 10 minutes, I'm ready to go again.
Yeah, man. I'm going to be like the suicide player. Suicide. Just go and do everything danger.
Just jump on it.
Yeah, man.
I touch that.
No fear.
I touch that. I taste that. And then Mary.
There's a door. I open it.
I lick the doorknob.
Right.
What happens then?
Lick the doorknob.
What do rock rubs taste like? Anyway, is that an ear seeker? I bet you.
I put it in my ear. Does it do anything?
I've told you about the throat leech and the potion of healing, right?
No.
Had a game master do that. That's an old first edition critter throat leeches, and they'd put them in potions of healing. You drink them, and then it would swell up and choke you to death. It was great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was a healthy leech. My God. Yeah. Max hit points because it was living in the potion of healing, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like swallowing the worm from tequila.
Only more deadly.
Right.
Or maybe just as deadly because I'm not a big tequila fan.
Neither am I.
Anyway, we are random encounter. Let's just move.
All right, let's get into random encounter.
Random encounter.
Segment of the show where we field comments, emails from social media, written in, voicemails. Mike Watkins phones one in this week. Brett.
Oh, nice.
Here we go.
Hey, Mike Watkins here again. Thanks for having this podcast. It's really great. And y'all were talking about people losing interest in your game. And I've had this happen to me before when I'll be talking to somebody and I'll be telling them this great story that I think is awesome and interesting, and then I'll just see it sort of fade out of their eyes, will glass over, and they're not really interested. And then I'll have to reel them back in and, and then Jeff stabbed him, and bring him back in. So I don't think it's the party's fault necessarily, but, you could spice it up. I had one game of Eberron that I could tell they were totally bored with. So I just had a time traveler guy in a tuxedo come out of the 1920s with a Tommy gun, and he got teleported into the middle of this Eberron campaign in the middle of the city square and just started shooting at people. So, just spice it up. And maybe that'll bring them back in. Thanks, guys.
Well, that's
Nothing like a fully automatic 45 slug thrower to
certainly
liven things up.
Certainly one way to do things.
That is one of the things that Mike, thank you for calling in, man. One of the things I like that he calls out is you can see it in your players sometimes. You can see it in the people at the table. And that's an important skill that players, game masters, and both sides of the screen, basically, that are good to have. Because sometimes we'll get off on this thing, like listening to the show. I'm sure at some point somebody's like, Brett, shut the fuck up. Because you get going and you get talking about something and people are like, yes, I got it. It's the same fucking point 52 times. I get it. So being able to watch that and see when that goes down, when Mike says spice up reminds me of Robin Laws, was kind of what's the most interesting thing that could happen right now? Ninjas kick in the door, orcs attack. Something has to happen.
Gangster from Chicago shows up.
Gangster from Chicago shows up and shoots the hell out of
Tommy
everybody.
for 45 Tommy gun.
Yeah, why not?
Zoot suit hat.
100-round drum and a really bad attitude. This is not going to go well, people. No, sometimes you got to shake it up, and sometimes, depending what your crew is willing to deal with, the orcs attack approach or, most interesting thing, shaking up whatever term you want, sometimes the crazier the better, and that's good stuff. I like it. That's one of the reasons why I still like random encounters on one way, shape, or form in my games, because it's a great way just to change things up, especially if you're out in the wilderness. Anyway, different topic for another day, but thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
very good stuff,
Mike.
Man. Sean, you can read this one.
Edwin,
I'll let you.
All right, Edwin emails us. Some of my worst gaming experience have been with some homebrew adventures, Brett.
Yes.
And the rest were with published adventures. No shit.
Did I say that? If I said that, it's terrible. I can't believe I said that. Oh, my God.
I don't know if he quoted you. I don't know.
He quoted me, so I must have. Ah, shit. Sorry, Edwin. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
That was a fun episode. I enjoyed hearing some of Brett's responses to the survey. One comment on the world building piece: I have been frustrated as a player and seen my table get stuck as a GM with the PC-based hooks if they either pull in opposite directions or if they don't lend themselves to pulling the entire group. It generally... What, did I miss something?
No, I was going to say I could totally see that. Sorry, I was just mumbling in the background. Yeah, I nodding in agreement. Absolutely. Keep going.
It generally works out fine if there's only one, but if two PCs have strong reasons for going in opposite directions, blah. Once, when I accidentally did this, I had the players make up secondary PCs so that both primary PCs could hie off to their corners of the world without leaving the rest of the players twiddling their thumbs. I'm a big fan of PC-based hooks, but cautious about having conflicting personal hooks at the same time, and even more cautious about that hook that can really best be resolved by one PC, but requires significant in-game time or travel. Cheers all, Edwin Nagy.
Those are very good points. When you're pulling that stuff, PC-based hooks, exactly what Edwin said, keep that stuff in mind. And sometimes it's like, hey, they want to go in opposite directions. That's fine if you, quote-unquote, do it right, or you're able to work it as such. You can't do them both at the same time. That's when it gets tricky, right? Somebody has to go off to this end of the realms and someone else to go off to that end of the realms. Then it splits everything up. If it's in a city, maybe not so bad. Like if it's back in the old days when I was running Vampire, we were basing the game in Chicago. We're like, well, I want to go to the north side or the south side. It's a city. Taxis, traffic, but it's not that big. But if someone's like, well, I got to go to Maine and somebody else has to go to LA, that can kind of wreck the whole thing. So yeah, some of it comes down to timing, as he says, making sure it's happening at the right times. And also, sometimes it's paying attention to those hooks and helping massage that player to say, well, do you really have to be this thing? Could it maybe be this other idea? And kind of helping to craft that other PC hook so that it works for the setting and it also doesn't drive you and everybody else completely bananas. But I love the idea. If you can, as a PC, if you can build a hook that helps pull everybody in, or something that's kind of a group type of activity, something you think everyone would have fun being a part of that piece, you get to have some spotlight and everyone gets to come with you, and your game master will love you. because you did that. So that's always good to do.
Yep.
Thanks, Edwin. Good info, man. All right. What do we got here? Beholder's Horde comments on why do PCs wander off. One thing I've found very useful in times the players go in a direction I'm totally not prepared for is a few level-appropriate, non-plot affecting encounters. A micro-dungeon or a small investigation sidetrack for a village they pass on the way to the unexpected journey. This can often lead the group to the end of the session instead of having to stop early because of an unplanned turn. Some simple little encounter, say, like a girl walks to the PCs to get her kitten out of a tree. Once the tree is located, the kitten is a manticore, and now that's aggressive towards the party, believing the group has kidnapped the child. You can't hurt Fluffy! Extra credit treasure for creative role-playing. Could be a good place to drop a plot clue out of the blue. Yep, it rhymed. Thanks, Beholder. No, I like those. We've talked about side plots and different things, and those are sometimes when they do want to wander off, or you can let people go for a while, give them something interesting to do, and then hint, plot, idea, poke, and now they're back on track. So sometimes it's nice just to wander off and pull a kitten out of a tree for a little bit. You feel like you earned something, like something actually worked, especially for PCs and we get a crap kicked out of them for like the last 6 sessions. It's nice to have a win under their belt by stepping off the track. So good info.
Yes, thanks, Beholder's Horde.
You read Phil. You read Phil's. Good Lord.
Phil comments on PCs wandering off. I was thinking about Sean's comment. How if you give the players less options, they're less likely to go in unexpected directions? Definitely. As the game master, if you hold out the shiny lure, the players may bite on it, even if it's earlier than you wanted or expected them to. I think you, Brett, talked about how providing fewer options to explore to keep the game on track isn't railroading. Again, definitely. You hope the players trust you as the game master to have something cool planned. You don't present multiple options because the thing before them makes sense within the context of the campaign, and playing it is going to be a killer. I'm running 2 separate punk apocalyptic games. Rob Schwab wrote it. It uses Shadow of the Demon Lord mechanics. It's visceral. The game moves at a good pace. I'm ripping off lots of Mad Max and Escape from New York references. The players love it. So far, both campaigns I haven't had to produce separate missions. The hooks are sometimes presented differently due to how previous missions have been played out, but the mission objectives are the same. What's important is the players have the agency to accomplish those missions however they please, and they have been drastically different. One group uses trickery, deceit, and more targeted hits against the enemy, while the other tends to go off flamethrowers blazing. One group identifies dangerous areas and avoids it. The other explores it. One group falls for the bait and gets ambushed. The other doesn't, and through investigation locates the enemy base and ambushes them. It's brilliant. For me, that's been one of the great surprises of the campaign. 3 missions in, and each has played out so differently. This may eventually lead to the campaign splitting off. A secondary threat is starting to be established in one game due to a player activity, while in another it hasn't come up. That might grow in importance. It depends on what the players continue to do. We'll see. In the meantime, as Game Master who has never done this before, playing 2 very different games with the same outcomes has been pretty awesome.
That is cool.
That sounds really awesome, man. Good for you, Phil. Kick ass.
And this also harkens back to, we talked about running the same campaign twice. Now, sometimes it can be fun and to watch people do different things. It sounds like because Phil's doing it at the same time, the campaign's fresh, right? What we talked about was like Sean coming back to it and saying, hey, I'll run Tomb of Annihilation again in like 3 months, 4 months. But the way Phil's doing this, we're basically both going simultaneously to these games. The world, the setting, the stuff that's cooking, all of that's fresh in Phil's head. So when people are doing stuff, it's going to be a little bit easier than trying to reawaken, perhaps I should say, to reawaken the campaign, months or years after it's ended. So cool stuff, man. Thank you for writing in.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to talk about Beholder's Horde is back on Thieves because it's today's topic. One of my favorite things is the forgery kit a rogue can have. I love role-playing opportunities of a good forged note or document can get started. Even just an innocent note from the local guard captain can really liven up a session. Laugh out loud. I can totally see that, man. I also like to provide encounters where more than just one rogue gets to try their hand at roguish things, like pulling con game type of stuff to buy, sell questionable goods. Some players could do a good used car salesman role play. This buggy was only owned by a little old elf from Pasadena. I like that.
Grotonomu on Thieves. A specific adventure to look at is DCC Free RPG Day 2012, The Jeweler That Dealt in Stardust. That is a weird and fun Thieves adventure built around the burglary of a storefront in Punjar, the original DCC setting adventure. Punjar is basically Lankmar and has elements that fit in with Avalon as well. Also, there was the Goodman Games Greatest Thieves in Lankmar Kickstarter this summer. Unfortunately, I didn't have the funds to back it, but I'm hoping I can buy it for Christmas this year.
Cool.
Which takes us into the main topic. Yeah, main topic, baby.
All right. So Grotonomu had written in a while back and said, so I came across this vid on Facebook, and we got a link there. And he talked about how that video got him inspired to run more complex thieving games and heist operations in his DCC games. He says, I'm definitely going to add this to my Lankmar game when I get it off the ground. What, if anything, would you do to spice up thieving, lockpicking, legerdemain, second story work, etc. in your games? I see it to be extremely applicable to Brett's Avalon setting. And it is. So anyway, that was the start of this. So, Sean, I honestly, when I thought about this, one of the first things that I came to is because I'm currently playing a rogue, a thief. I still like the term thief better than rogues. And my buddy's under my own. And I really think that rogues and thieves make some really good, not just scouts, lockpickers, that type of thing, but just raw investigators because of the breadth and depth of skill and detail that they have. I think in urban landscape or even a traditional dungeon environment, they make really good kind of that Sherlock Holmes investigator type of ploy, right? They don't have to be the wizard or the cleric, but they tend to they've got good wisdom because if they've got proficiency skills too in perception and stealth. They're sneaking in, they're finding out data. They've got a really good ability to do that. And that's something that I have found the men and women that I've gamed with have had really memorable rogues and thieves have really used them as information gatherers sometimes, in addition to the traditional, and I'm talking a D&D type of setting, but shit, even when I played Shadowrun and stuff, the folks who were playing the rogue was really good at getting data. Hey, we really need to figure this out. I'm sneaky. I'll go figure that out. And they would toddle off and come back with data. Do you run into that with thieves too, Sean, or is that not the case for you?
I would say that they tend to lean on that side, not necessarily all in, because I think I've run into folks that play them a little bit different from one another. I haven't seen a lot of Kender-like thieves. So if you're not familiar with Kender, it's a race in the Dragonlance setting where they're all halflings and they like to steal a bunch of shit all the time.
Like they can't help it. It is
chronic kleptomaniacs.
It is a compulsion they cannot stop.
Yes.
I think to be a player of a Kender that doesn't get you like shanked in the alleyway after the game, you've got to be a good player. My experience with people playing Kender has been abysmal. But anyway, so I was going to say the reason I brought up the investigative component is because I have talked to people who shy away from rogues or thieves because, well, I don't want to be a bard and I don't want to be a thief or I don't want to be, something along those lines. And somebody will say, hey, or a Star Wars game or something, oh, well, this is kind of like a rogue, like from I don't want to be that guy picking pockets and stuff like that. No, there's another angle. I guess just want to kind of start off with that. So one of the ways for me making thieving interesting is helping to encourage / coach the players of those things, saying, look, you have this huge bevy of skills, man. You could be off figuring out this, and this. Sometimes when the players are stuck, I look at the thief player, the rogue, and say, hey, you realize Julie could head off and do this thing because she's got the skills for that. Oh, shit, yeah. To Beholder's Horde piece, you know forgeries. You have a forging kit. You could tell if this book was a forgery, possibly. You should be able to tell if somebody forged their name. You have the skill. Being able to kind of reverse engineer some of those thieving skills to help you do investigative things. So, make sense?
It does, and it should be noted that in 5th edition, at least, there are archetypes under the thief class that round things out a little bit differently than just being a cut purse all the time.
Yeah, arcane trickster is my current favorite. That's what my character is right now. I like that because I like having a little extra magical twist on my dude.
You pulling gold coins out of people's ears?
Yeah, casting nasty ice dagger spells and shadow blades and shit. Detecting magic, identifying stuff because I want gear. But the other kind of with that is that using these skills for more than just, right? And you can, depending what your character is, a lot of this stuff we tend to reference kind of in the D&D language, but it translates across pretty well to other things. If you have a character in a Shadowrun game and you're a face man or you're somebody who's really good at disguise and you're slipping in and so on, or spy, you should then, even if the rules don't call it out per se, they usually do somewhere, but you can use that cool spy disguise to determine, is that other person in disguise? When you're walking down the street, you see a bunch of beggars and you have a feeling one of those beggars might be that assassin who's going to jump, the senator as he comes out. You know this skill. You've got this. You might be able to, crank. As a game master, I want my player to pull that out and say, hey, I know disguise. I'm going to do a pass through this area here to see if any of these beggars or hangers on or whatever it is, are they assassins in disguise? Is something out of place, right? It's like a perception check, but I want an edge because I'm skilled in disguise. I'm not just using raw perception. I'm using my really kick-ass skill. And for me, that's an opportunity to get advantage or bonuses to that player because they're trying to play to their strengths. If you know poisons, I wrote a little example here. Is I had one of the guys in the Avalon game. They were trying to figure out if something was toxic or not. And I said, well, you are a poisoner. You know the alchemical stuff. So Alpha makes the die roll and goes, hey, I know the smell of Black Lotus. There's no way. He just kind of went with it ad hoc, but that kicked in my head. I'm like, that's another descriptor that I can use. He knows these skills. He should be able to sense and detect things. Hidden motives, forgeries, as I said. Finding out how things were done. A buddy of mine was really good at doing this with Shadowrun, where he would talk to the game master and want to be able to use his really kick-ass hacking skills to kind of figure out how the other guy did it. My example I wrote in the notes, hey, it looks like they bypassed the security system using a dummy, card. They use a rogue uplink to scramble comms. They only had about 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. It's just one way to do that Sherlock Holmes cool thing of piecing together how the heist happened and then sorting it out. And the other thing that's fun to do then is if you have, depending on how detailed you want your NPCs, that NPC rogue thief who works for the City Watch or works for the Empire, that's how they're tracking you. Because he or she knows exactly how it is you do your job. So anyway, I just want to throw out some what I thought were more concrete examples of using your skills as more than just pick locks, move silently type of thing. We think about thieves and rogues. Do you have anything, Sean, that comes to your mind for that type of example or idea?
No, I think the spy. I think there was a spy in 3.0.
Pretty sure.
Or something. It's not in Xanathar's guide or anything or 5e, but I thought there was they have Scout. Scout is out of Xanathar's guide, I believe, in 5e.
There's got to be a spy somewhere. Eberron somewhere has one, maybe.
Maybe. But so those skills can play a role in being, a thief or a spy or a scout, which is nice. So you're right. They don't have to be I'm going to pick this guy's pockets all the time.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I find I haven't played a lot of AD&D recently, and I did play a thief in Hobbs's game of Lyncium for BX, and it was fine. I had the climb skills that I could use to get out of holes or climb up that I didn't risk falling on my ass like some of the others, but I didn't feel as though I would have to be in a village or an urban setting to be recognized as a viable, like a participant in the group, right? I didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I didn't feel left out because you could still use those traits and abilities.
You don't have the feeling of the cavalier 5 levels down in the cramped dungeon going, I wish I had my horse.
And my lance. I want a lance and my horse because I could do like
a billion
20
damage.
20d12 worth of damage, and now I'm in this dungeon and I can't,
Yeah.
Well, come on now.
One of the other things for me when I thought about this, about how to make theming more interesting, I find we talked about this ages back. We had an episode on bards. Bards were for role playing. It's a good opportunity, and so on. And I honestly think one of the things I do with rogues when I'm player, I try to do this, and then as the game master, I try to elicit it from my players, is to give whoever's playing the rogue, the thief, the scout, the hacker, the face man, the spy, having them give me descriptions of what it is they're trying to do. And one way to elicit that is by describing why something's hard. So, back in the AD&D days, this was common for my groups where we would come back and someone would say, well, I want to try to pick his pocket. And Eric Schaefer, our game master, would be like, well, he's wide open. He's got a guard dog with him. And there's no city. He's got space around him, right? So if you walk up to him, he's going to see you coming up to pick his pocket. And we'd be like, fuck. So, and this is back in the percentile days. But so he's like, you're going to be a huge penalty. Like, ah, Christ. We really want to do this because he's got the thing we want. So how do we get past that? So he set the stage of how do we get past this? So then we're like, okay, we're going to do a bump and run. I want to pull the fighter in. The fighter, go buy a chicken leg or a turkey leg. One of those big, meaty things that like a Ren Fair leg. Yeah, go get a Ren Fair thing. Walk up there, pet the dog, feed the dog, kind of distract them. I'm going to come up, bang into you. And we would try to set up these kind of, because it was a key piece of something we had to get off this dude, try to set up a bump and run of some kind. We're not pickpockets. You don't know how to fucking do this. But by describing how we wanted to get over stuff, the penalty went up, got less and less and less and less, got closer to our real percentage chance. In a game like 5e, you get to add advantage. You get to add inspiration points to people. In other systems, you might, in the Star Wars game, Sean, that you ran, I could see you saying, hey, use a purple die instead of that one, or changing things out, or different outcomes type of thing. But I think that, to me, setting the stage of what's to happen, instead of I just pick pockets, I search the room, which we've talked about ad nauseum in the past. Describe why what the thief is trying to do is difficult. This lock is rusty. It's old. The door is wedged. You can actually see another lockpick broken off in this ancient dwarven mechanism. This is going to be a son of a gun. You look at a pretty high DC to get past it. And he goes, well, let's see. I do have that oil. I've got a mithril dagger. I think I can. When they start coming up with ideas to get past all the different descriptive issues you've given them, you didn't just say, hey, it's a DC 25. Oh, God, I hope I roll high. That's boring as shit, man. To make it interesting, describe why the DC is so damn high. That's kind of where I'm going at. Does that ring for you, Sean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's even just touching on that a little bit about pickpockets. I mean, if you got a game master that's somewhat flexible, it doesn't necessarily have to literally mean pickpockets, right? It's like,
well, that's where the sleight of hand, right?
Yeah, sleight of hand, right?
Yeah, I want to use sleight of hand skill to flip a coin. I want to be distracting, a little ledger domain, little hand, little illusion magic type of thing on the side, or flipping coins, chucking daggers, something, juggling, cause a distraction, so on.
Yeah, and I think most game masters will flex on that. Like, hey, I'm trying to get this without anybody noticing me, right? Without having to hide in shadows. Or move silently. So it's a sleight of hand thing or pickpockets. Yeah.
And if you take the spy idea, right? So I remember back to, again, our Star Wars game. We're at a bidding war trying to get this gem thing.
Yeah, you guys were at an auction.
We're at an auction, and we had to kind of figure out what was going on in the crowd.
That's right.
I'm remembering we have to go post somebody up over there, go figure that out, trying to utilize the room, because you didn't tell us how hard it was going to be. You just told us how difficult it looked. We weren't told, oh, you're going to be at a -6 or it's all blue dice or green dice or whatever, because it was all the colored dice. You didn't tell us that here's the number to reach. You described the scene, and told us this is going to be a son of a bitch. And we had to figure out how it was we wanted to get around it. Which, again, I think that helps to make generally any skill check, but especially thieving, that like, well, I'm just going to go up and pick his pocket because I got an 85% chance. You can say, well, there's a percentage, or hey, I got a plus 10 on that. What's the DC? If you give a description, or you say, well, you're actually going to be at disadvantage on that using that mechanic, or the penalty is such that it becomes astronomical DC, or you're 2% chance now instead of 85 because of these crazy ass extenuating circumstances. That's the shit that heist movies are made of, right? Where is it? It's locked in a vault in a basement beneath a thing beyond the doors, past the set of other doors with guards. That's the whole heist movie. Watch an Ocean's 11. See how they crack that. You don't have to go that full way in, but that's the type of describing what's going on, and then have the players tell you how they're going to overcome those things, descriptive wise, and then assign the difficulty class, and then tell them to make their die roll based on all the bonuses and negatives. I think that to me has been the biggest key for me to help make thieving interesting and not just run of the mill. You can every once in a while just hand wave it. Like, okay, yeah, you just want to bust through this crowded stall. I need to pick up some copper coins. Okay, give me a pickpockets check. Sleight of hand. There you got 18 copper pieces and a silver. Neat. That's all I needed to go buy breakfast. Sometimes that's fun too, but I think the descriptions piece helps me do it that way. One of the things, so for me, Sean, that's what I'm thinking about. When you have guys that are running rogues or thieves in Star Wars games or anything like that you've played, do you use any of that stuff, or how are people approaching it? Is it different to you in like a sci-fi setting versus a fantasy setting by much, or same type of approach?
I think it's all nuance, but if I'm running Star Wars and there's a character that wants to, I don't think there's I cannot put my finger on a class type that is thief other than what would be a typical scoundrel type, right?
Okay.
And then in Star Wars, they've got those archetypes that you can choose from. So if I haven't played in a while, so some of them escape my mind, but if you're going to play a scoundrel, then you're playing something, underneath that, which would be, I don't know if it's not a forgery artist or anything like that, but it's
Well, Han Solo's a smuggler, right?
Smuggler.
Scoundrel, smuggler,
right. Yes.
Yep. And even then, Han Solo, he's a smuggler. How does that become more interesting? Well, he's got places to stash stuff. That's where the people hide out. Spoilers.
So,
right?
So he is essentially a thief of some kind where, I guess you could say it's smuggling is thieving. Yeah.
Someone's going to tell me where I am. But the same type of principle, right, is you're using your stuff for more than its intended purpose.
Right.
From earlier, right? The ship has, the Millennium Falcon has places in it to stash stolen goods, or illicitly gained goods, or stuff he's fencing or whatever. It's also a good place to put people, apparently.
Well, and if you're playing a Star Wars game and you're doing it during the Rebellion era, then you're probably wanting to try to steal. You got to steal stuff from the Empire. You got to steal plans. You got to steal arms and armor and equipment that the Rebellion doesn't have. They don't have the means to get it, or as easily. They don't have manufacturing facilities that are cranking it out and putting it in the general store where you can go and buy it. So you got to be creative and with the character that you have that enables. Let's put it this way. Whenever you're playing a class type system, which a majority of RPGs are, not all, but a majority of them are, the reason there are classes is because you got certain specialties to kind of lean on. Doesn't mean somebody else can't do the same thing, but you're just better at it. You're just more effective at it. You've gone into that, and the subtle nuances that you might run into. Doesn't mean you're going to be more successful, but you have some inkling of, hey, man, I was a recruiter for 11 years. I kind of know how to do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm good, maybe, or,
But I know how that functions, right? Yeah.
Right. But I know, the overall process, and I know who to contact and what to look for and things of that nature. So whenever whatever game you're playing and it's of a thief-based kind of class, thief, scoundrel, rogue, whatever that looks like, pickpockets and some of the AD&D here, pickpockets, move silently, hide in shadows, blah, 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 read languages, use magic item. Those, you kind of have to get a little nuanced with making it your own, I think.
One of the things I think you get to do as game master to help niche protection can be a big thing, right? Some people get really irked when the wizard or the barbarian rolls better on a thieving skill than the thief does, right? Sleight of hand for picking pockets or whatever. Which is one of the nice things, if you will, of some of the earlier editions of D&D specifically, where certain skills were only in their purview, right? So you can do that. You could say, hey, look, this particular task at hand, this lock, I don't give a shit if you've got a lockpick fighter guy. You're not a rogue. You're not picking this lock. Only a rogue could even attempt this. I've seen that done. I've talked to people who like to do that. The other one is that if that goes too far, sometimes it's like, hey, only the dedicated spy, the dedicated rogue of some kind gets the bonus for doing it because it's their profession, right? I can change oil in a car. I can change tires. I can do brake jobs. I can do certain things. I am not going to do it as well or as quickly as an honest to God mechanic, right? Somebody with all the right tools and all the right skill and know-how. If you've ever tried to build something with wood and then compare that to an actual woodworker, professional or serious hobbyist, you got a pretty good idea what I'm talking about, right? Hey, look, I built a bookshelf. This other person built a bookshelf with, oh my God, it's amazing. Doing the basics versus doing a solid professional job. And there are certain tasks that, just in everyday life, that you need to go to a professional, right? I mean, my general practitioner looks at my neck and goes, wow, that's fucked up. Off to a specialist with you because I need somebody who does this for a living to go look at your spine. Same type of principle here, I think. And again, that just helps. Some people could give a crap about niche protection and they really don't care. They want everyone to be able to do everything equally well or whatnot. Good on them. But if you want to, I think you have sometimes the system you're running may help you do niche protection. And if not, again, give that spy, that scoundrel, that smuggler. You're the smuggler, Sean. You've got a chance, to know if this ship could do what you want it to do. We're trying to buy a new ship. Well, you're the pilot and you're the smuggler. You give me the role to give me your once over. I just look at it saying, hey, it can fly, it has cargo space. You as the smuggler tell me, well, yeah, it also has another 5,000 cubic feet of other cargo space you're not seeing. I know how the hull is built, but this is good. And that gives that person a chance to shine and seem really, really cool. They see somebody walking through the crowd. The fighter's like, oh, I bet it's a thief. Have that rogue player make a little perception check. He's the only one who gets to. She's the only person who can try. They roll, and they say, yeah, I can tell that dude's a professional. You can tell by the way he moves or whatever the case is. So I think that's another way to make thieves and thieving skills and such a little more interesting. I've actually done similar things with fighters, wizards, and others when it comes down to only your class or only your particular skill set, especially in class-based systems, can check for something or get a bonus because it's a professional interest to you. Other people have passing knowledge, but you have such depth in it that you're going to know more details than somebody else would. So, do you get a lot of niche protection issues in the game you run? Do people care? I'm just curious. Or somebody's like, oh, my wizard's better at picking locks than your fucking thief. You ever get that?
You might get a comment about it, or you'll get somebody that does. I think that's kind of common. You get the person.
It really irks some folks. I'm not saying it's right or wrong either way, but if it really irks you, or that's a problem at your table, that was what I was trying to solve.
Right. And there are people that will, though the thief tries it, and the thief fails, but the magic user attempts it and succeeds.
That's a skill bug piling, right? I'll try it.
Yeah. And you get the neener, which is fine. I mean, I think that's only natural, right? Like, it's kind of like...
Especially if you're playing with guys like Jeff in my group. We've known these guys for 20, 30 plus years. It's fun.
Here, let me do this. Oh, yeah. Okay. You succeed. What?
Son of a... Damn it.
I mean, sometimes it's even a comedic thing where it's like we have the thief that can never succeed on what they do, like on a thieving role of some kind, and then everybody else does, and it's like, great, we got a thief that's completely useless. That's awesome. So then you could probably get a nickname, right?
As long as as long as the player's into it and stuff, right? This goes into be a decent sport and don't. These better be good friends. You better really know each other before. This is a pickup game online. I just decided to pick on the Sean guy and call him a dickwad because he doesn't know what a fucking thief. Well, you suck. He's
at a convention and being a dick.
It's a little over the top, right? But anyway, I think for me, those are the main pieces about being a thief or a rogue in some way. If you can get the players to do descriptions, you can get them to talk about how they want to use their skills. All that stuff's great, but we as game masters need to encourage that stuff to come out. Ask the players, help coach them, give them ideas like, yes, this is totally cool for you to use your skills in this interesting way. Yes, it's really cool for you to do this type of description to counteract my descriptions, to jack up your bonuses and so forth. But we've got to give them opportunity to do that stuff, right? It's like the fighter who takes Cleave, Whirlwind Attack, Mighty Cleave, Super Whirlwind Attack, Whirling Dervish, Death Ball, and every other spinning death feat they can find.
Whirling Dervish Death Ball.
Yes,
Sweet.
It's in a Pathfinder rulebook somewhere.
You can write some of this shit down, man.
But if they take all that, they're telling you, I want to kill stuff in huge swaths. You better give them a room full of goblins or at least undead skeletons, something you can just chew through to have fun, because that's what they took all that for, is for fun.
Right.
So somebody made this kick-ass rogue, sneaky person, and you don't ever get them a chance to be a rogue sneaky person? Yeah. You should have told them to make a fighter at the beginning, because it's all... I didn't realize we were playing Space Marine the game. There's no sneaking. It's just shooting Tyranids all day. Oh, if you'd have told me that, I wouldn't bother to make a thief. Anyway. That makes sense, Sean?
Does.
Do you have any more pointers on this one?
No, I don't think so.
I had a game master ages back when we were playing, I think, Forgotten Realms or something. Maybe Eric did this, but we're in a tavern. We hear these people talking and other people just jabbering away. And he looks over and he says, hey, Mike, you're a thief, right? You can understand him. Well, speaking of thieves can't. The rest of us didn't get it. It was the first time that I had recalled ever having that be a thing. Oh yeah, that's like a code language that thieves use. Oh, that's right. It turned out they were plotting something, blah, 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 and we got wind of it and were able to capitalize on it and so on and so forth. So again, these characters, these classes have all sorts of cool stuff. Sometimes as game masters, if we remember it and the players don't, it's a good way to kind of pull it out of them.
Yeah.
Throw those things out. Doesn't have to be all the time, just every once in a while. We good, man?
We're good, man. Let's get into die roll.
Die roll it up.
Die roll! 2d4 miscellaneous points of gaming and geekery you want to bring to you. We've got 4 this week. First one on the list. How to RPG, a little YouTube project Sean works on occasion. I ran a Stars Without Number game, and in that I took OBS, which is a free piece of software, and did a lower third. I put in a browser die roll, online die roller. I put in the initiative and text.
Damn, dude.
Posted pictures on it on Twitter, and people were like, hey, how do you do that? So I did a tutorial so that you can take OBS, show you how to set it up, and then put it in Zoom so that you could... And frankly, you could do this for even like professional meetings. Like you could put in your name down below so everybody sees it nice and big, and you can put your
and
company
a die roller
logo,
so you can see who gets to talk first.
And the die roller.
Initiative.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, check it out. It's probably about 20-minute. And if you know OBS, it's literally like probably a 5-minute video. And I've got a timestamp so you can just forward past all the OBS setup.
Well, cool, man. Good work. Good work on your part. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. And then second one, new book announced by WotC. So if you're living underneath a rock, and if you are, let us know, because
we're interested in doing that. We'd like to subscribe.
We'd like to live under a rock. Actually,
it would be nice sometimes.
Tasha's Cauldron of Everything arriving November 17th, 2020, and they're taking pre-orders now. And I think it may even be listed on Amazon. I know there was a placeholder, which I'm sure has been flipped since. But did
you see the alternate cover on this one?
I did.
It has a different alternate cover look than they've done in the past. And this alternate cover is nice. I really like it. I like the other ones fine, but this one really jumps out to me. And I like the fact Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I always say, oh, Tasha's Cauldron, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I know there's other stuff out there, so this is cool. I like it.
Lots of different player options they're bringing up, pretty much.
Hey, man,
I imagine there's to be Game Master stuff, but it's, I think, a player book more than anything.
Yeah, some people are like, oh, more splat. You don't have to buy it. It's not shit. You don't have to. But just need to see good games getting support and stuff.
And for those that had Spelljammer on their bingo card, we're sorry. But hold on to the bingo card. You never know. It might come up later down the road.
They didn't get to say I told you so. I just called it 2 months early or a year earlier or whatever it is. Anyway.
Number 3, Pip World's community content program is now live on Drive-Thru RPG. So the Pip system by Third Eye Games and
Friend of the show,
Aloy
Aloy Lasanta. Yep.
Yes, and his group of gamers, and I think Todd Crapper is part of the crew. Now you can create your own stuff for that system, which is an interesting one. If you haven't checked it out, by all means, do that. We'll have a link in the die roll to the drive-through for the community piece of that. But if you're a Pip system person, yeah, check that out. Hellboy, the role-playing game, Kickstarter. What? Did you get in on that, Brett? Hellboy, man?
I did not. I love Hellboy, but I don't know. I just kind of looked at it and went, I don't know.
I think the goal is what, like something like 30 grand. It's at like, I don't know, 300.
Yeah.
so
I gotta admit right now, last time we talked about the Twilight 2000 one, I was backing it and I just backed out because I looked at it and went, I don't think I'm going to get to play this. It's interesting for Brett's sake. So what I think I might do is revisit that one like the PDF only level, just so I can get that copy of it. I was all like, hey, or maybe like, you know what? Maybe I'll pick up the PDF later because it will be out and available type of thing because it's funded and all that good stuff. So this is another one. I'm like, I don't. And I also had to buy arrows because archery season's coming and hopefully my shoulder will be fixed and I can shoot my bow.
Decisions, man.
And arrows aren't cheap. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'll kill stuff instead of killing pretend stuff. So there we go. That's what I did.
It's 4.5e. And I mean, I saw the layout. I was pretty impressed. And I'm not a Hellboy guy. So it does go until September 7th, 2020. I do not know the delivery date. But when this drops, you probably have a few days to get in on it if you want. And that is it for Die Roll this week. And that's it for Die Roll ending this week, August 24th, 2020.
Yeah, next week we're going to talk about lore and descriptions on demand, which we've been alluding to. Again, we alluded to earlier this show, but that type of topic. So that is next week's chatter.
Lore.
And descriptions on demand.
Descriptions on demand.
Yeah. Coming
up on the fly, you mean?
Yeah. Well,
oh boy.
I've had these notes up for weeks, man. You could read them.
Oh, yes, I could. I'm not used to it, man.
No,
I'm not
you're
used
not.
To it.
I can't.
It's outside my schedule.
I have trained you not to be ever seeing anything until the last second. So I appreciate the fact that this is my fault. This is 6 years.
This has been up for like 2 months, Sean. What?
This has been 6 years of training, Brett. That's not how this fucking works around here. Yes, I know.
All right. Well, that's it for this week, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining in Discord. Thanks, everybody, for joining on Twitch. Next week, we will be here Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time to view us talking about lore and descriptions. And this Thursday, Session 2 for Delta Green, music from a darkened room. Stuff's going to start getting interesting.
Oh, and the 29th is your 20th is this Saturday.
Yes.
Is the last reminder on that is the Hero Save Villages, that Sean's thing, and that we've got links in show notes to goodness there. So check that out.
So that's it. So thank you, everybody. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This episode of Gaming in BS brought to you by the following producers. The Duke in Purple, Eric Salzweedle, Brett Pazinski, Graham Minor, Corey Wynn, Ed Nice, Coast GM, Jay Plata, George Sedgwick, Stefan Dragonspawn, Adam Grotjohn, Jared Rasher, Dollar Adventure Frameworks, Jason Weeb, Ray Otis, Eric Frankhouse, Daniel Garrett, Jim Ingram, Curtis Hinson, Rory Weston, Mike Hess Jr., Ron Blessing, Mark Sohm, Who's Carl, Eric Tavola, Henry Newcomb, Melissa Bashinsky, Harrigan, David F. Baylog, Andy Hall, Rich Wishan, Brian Rumble, Jeff Goad, Niall Diamond, Corey Gonzalez, John Keyword, Jeff Seifert, Andy Olson, Michael Dinos, Old School DM, Eric Avia, Perry Besor, Laramie Wall, Robert Nemeth, Angus, Josh Wallace, Howard Bishop, Craig, Roger Braslick, Cy, Chad Gleeman, Thomas Hook, Mark Richmond, Ron Bishop, Larry Hout, Old Scouser Role Playing, Jim Fitzpatrick, Craig Huber, C.W. Mellencamp, Dan LaValle, Pure Mongrel, Wayne Humfleet, Marco Froelich, Mark Tasaka, Jason Hobbs, Chris Steele, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, and Joe Swick. Hey, if you've liked what you've heard of this episode, go tell a friend. Bring it up to your game group. Let them know that we exist and that they can pull it up in their favorite podcatcher. Thanks, BSers.
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.